So we got to talk about this. And it's already, I don't want to waste any more time with the little things. So let's jump right into the first topic. And that is, of course, dear to my heart because it is Germany. And on Friday, which is interesting because it seems the rest of Europe has shows on Saturday, but Germany's like, nah, we'll do it on Friday. We're gone on Saturdays. So they had their first national final. Well, not the first, but the first national final of the week, I should say, and picked their entry. And let's talk about this. Germany selected their song. And but of course, in the end, it was just the appearance of a very famous Eurovision winner. It was the moment of the night. But let me back up real quick. It was a close battle between Felicia Liu, then Male and Jonas, and then 24-year-old singer and rapper Malik Harris. Ultimately, it was Malik who was then declared the winner of Germany, 12 points. That means earning him the right to represent Germany at the Eurovision Song Contest 2022 with the song Rockstars. And in case you're wondering how it worked, the winner was chosen by a public vote with Malik winning on the night of the vote, and then came second, apparently, in a vote that was an online voting starting 5 days prior to the show. So it's a little a different setup. They were not like juries in that sense. And of course, as you can imagine, Malik mentioned in our pre-interview with ESC United that he's super excited. He said about his song, it is a personal and vulnerable song. And I'm sure that there are a lot of people who can relate to the lyrics of the song, who can derive some of the support through it. And that has always been something I want to do with music. And as mentioned, of course, what people still talk about is, of course, the appearance of Jamala, who won for Ukraine in 2016, singing her song 1994, carrying the flag of the country throughout the performance, knowing what has been going on in Ukraine. And it's just a very strong symbolism because, Eurovision is supposed to be about unity and, coming together for a week, for a few nights, just to put everything else aside. So it was a very touching moment. Ultimately, as said, Malik won and is going to go to Turin. Roy, let's talk this through. The German selection as a dear neighbor from the Netherlands. I think you're legally required to say nice things. No, you can be honest, of course. What were your thoughts, first of all, about the national final selection? There have been a lot of chat and talk out there that this was a lackluster, underwhelming lineup. Do you agree, or do you think people were a little bit too harsh?
Yeah, I definitely do agree. I also get the idea that they want to go for radio friendliness. A friend of mine from Germany explained it to me, like they really want their own entry to be played on radio so that people in the entire country can get behind it and actually know when Eurovision comes on, what song is actually going to be performed, because that's been an issue the past couple of years. So I get the idea. The execution, though, I don't know. It were so many inoffensive songs that you were like struggling to really care for any of them. It didn't mean that all of them were bad. Like, they were all okay. But that's where the issue is, because you kind of want to be either hated or loved by people. Because if you're okay, people are going to listen to the song and see it on the Eurovision stage, and people be like, oh, that was nice. Then move on to, I don't know, some rock song or some very out there rap song or some whatever you could think about. And then people be like, whoa, what is this? And then already completely forgot about the German song. And in that sense, I don't really understand the direction they took. But hey, I think out of all of these songs that they did make the right decision. But yeah, I do think they really need to look at it again for next year and really reassess, is this really what we want to go for? Because it wasn't really my favorite selection, let's say it mildly.
Yeah, and MS London makes a good comment. Actually, radio friendliness and broad appeal doesn't has to be bland. Yeah. Look at the French song this year, for instance. So I will also say this is Germany's thing, certainly as of late. Because even when Germany really is, and they have been sucking big time at Eurovision over the last few years, putting 2018 aside, the thing is, even when they really suck, I hardly ever dislike their entries, right? It's almost like it's a fine song. Like, even I don't dislike 2015. I don't dislike 2017. I don't dislike 2019. But they're all just kind of more like, yeah, it's like my 30th place in the running. You know what I mean? It's just kind of just there. And that is a dangerous place. And this mindset that the producers, the people in charge have about it has to be radio friendly, that is very, very subjective. Listen to what's on the radio. There is no like this. They think more about radio friendliness, what you listen to when you drive a car, or just, more relaxing. Radio is all kinds of music. And this is, to me, just they just have this concept of what radio friendly is constituted, and it just drives me nuts. So I have the same issues as you did in terms of the song selection, and it seems as they never ever learn. And I've met people on the, and there seems to be always this undeserved confidence on the team every year with Eurovision. They're like, yeah, we've got this. And like, have you paid attention to Eurovision, the results as of late? And it drives me nuts. So yeah, I was also very underwhelmed with the lineup. And the thing is, yes, there were not many songs that I actively disliked. They were just all mostly, okay, what's next? And that is not a good sign. And then ultimately it became such a beige thing that I don't remember most of the songs, actually. Now, you did say, though, Roy, that with Malik, that they did the right choice in terms of their options. Remembering it so hard when time is moving so far. Just wish there was a way to know that. It's certainly, you can say, it stood out a little bit more than some of the others. So, do you think it is strong enough to escape? Oh gosh, this is like the bar for Germany, like 0 points from the televoters. You think there's some potential there? Where do you see this one at this point?
I definitely think that they can get a few points here or there. It won't be a big amount, I don't think so. But what I really liked is that he was quite spot on. Like, it could have literally been the studio version being played. Because he was just really good live vocally, and I didn't expect that because it's kind of more, rappy, I guess. And I didn't expect that to do well because usually that kind of falls very flat on stage. But he performed it very well, and with a proper direction of staging, which Germany hasn't been that good at lately. So they could definitely scrape like a few points here and there, and hopefully not get 0 points again, because that's probably the main goal now.
Yeah, again, the bar. Yeah, I will say, I mean, it was interesting because it was the first song of the night, if I'm not mistaken. That's usually like, okay, that one's not going to go anywhere. Yet it ended up, because it is true that the song itself is probably, out of all the ones, the best one performed live. And if you watch the show, again, the bar is ridiculously low. There were people who just stopped singing throughout the performance because they forgot the lyrics or they got lost. It was so amateurish at some point. It was cringe. And he was the most professional one, I would almost say, and the most slick performance. So I understand why people gravitate towards that one. But just based on its own merit, how do you feel about the song, Roy?
I mean, taking it out of like the entire selection, just putting it all behind me, I would definitely listen to it when it comes on shuffle. And that's like, I guess, radio friendliness of the song. But with radio music, it's always like you kind of want to have it in the background. And for Eurovision, you want to be on the foreground because people need to vote for you. And,
yes,
I'm not sure if that will happen. But on its own, it is not my last place. It's like in the middle somewhere, but like, I wouldn't.
Still not where you want to be,
Exactly.
Because I think a lot of people will have it in a similar position in their ranking in the middle. Me personally, nothing against Malik. He seems like a very likable and nice guy. And so it's just the song is a little bit grating to my ears, especially it's hardly rap. It almost gives me a little bit of an Eminem-inspired feel, but it becomes too shouty and aggressive. And I understand that this is the intent there, but it is very like uncomfortable, off-putting to me, that part. And I just like, I can't, I just want to back off a little. And melodically, it's just too It just, I don't get emotionally attached to it at all. Even though I will say, lyrically, the content is pretty good. I think it's a well-written song, but I just don't emotionally connect with it at all, unfortunately. And I saw people in the chat already talk, just pretend you're not German anymore. And like, of course not. I mean, just because I'm not crazy about the German song for how many years now? Oh, actually, that's not true. I loved actually Yenrik last year. It happens, and you cannot like it all the time. It is just more about tough love for me when it comes to Germany. It's just like, get your act together. You have high quality artists and high quality music. If this is the best you can come up with, change the people in charge. But I feel like I've seen this movie before. We talk about this every single year, and guess what they're going to do next year? The exact same thing. They don't take criticism well, and they just ignore it and move on. And that is this thing, especially, I mean, the whole thing was about, Eskimo Callboy, the big band that really wanted to go to Eurovision. It is immensely popular, and people were pushing for them hard. Even putting them aside, I do think that because they kind of brushed that off, they tried to brush it off, but they couldn't because the outrage was just so high. Do you think that Eskimo Callboy would have been a better option, or is it just like the fans being too stuck on one act at this point?
I mean, I would say 100%. They just really make metalcore super accessible, because metalcore is a very like in-your-face genre. I mean, I love metalcore, but I totally get that people will be like, whoa, what the hell is this? But they just make it danceable, they make it fun. I don't think that the song necessarily was perhaps their best shot at like going for Eurovision, but I definitely think it would have been better than what they have right now. The guys are amazingly at entertaining the crowd. I'm not sure how it would work on the television cameras, but I think it would have been a better choice, because at least people will either love or hate it. And you want the love people to vote for your song. So I definitely think it would have gotten a higher position than what they have now, I guess. But I also get what you mean, that a lot of the fans from Eskimo Callboy were the loudest. And like, they don't know what Eurovision is. They don't know what national selections are. So like, they start to harass some of the other artists. And, you always have those deep links, I guess, in any fandom. But it's sad to see those kind of things. But yeah. It's unfortunate that they like have to hear like, oh yeah, you're not radio friendly enough, so like what you're doing is not good enough for us to put you on the radio, which must be very demotivating, and it doesn't really help other bands, well, good English, to try to apply in the future, because they're not the only metal or rock bands that could apply to a national selection. And now that they have been rejected because they're not good enough for Eurovision, I wouldn't be.
It's not radio friendly enough.
Exactly. I wouldn't be a rock band and be like, yo, I'm going to submit now, because, yeah, I totally have a shot at winning this. So they're just shooting themselves in the foot for like 2 years, perhaps, by just putting out that statement.
Yep, I think so too. It was very badly managed, this whole situation. And I will say, yes, I kind of enjoyed that one song of Eskimo Callboy, and I didn't know them until this whole thing happened. I'm like, it's fun. It would certainly stand out, would be more polarizing, but at least would have been a little bit more of a conversation. But even besides Eskimo Callboy, it is put them aside, because it's just one band that got a lot of hype and a lot of attention. I just don't believe that this is the most exciting music that they had in the running, that this is all they can do. And they need to do some soul searching, and I'm just so, I wouldn't say deflated, but so pessimistic about it, because they just don't listen. So, and the thing is, usually they have to rely, Germany, on the other big 4 or 5 to kind of suck in their selection as well. But Spain, France, Italy, they certainly are delivering. So Germany once again has to rely and hope for Ukraine to suck as well, to have like somebody not to be at the bottom again, because that's the problem. If you are a direct qualifier, right, you have that privilege, and the other 10 songs from each semi, they already proven themselves to have a support, right, a base of support. So it's more likely that they will get some push in the finals as well. The big 4 or 5, they don't have to go through that. So they have to raise the bar when it comes to selection, and that is why Germany is in big trouble in my view, escaping the last place at this point, unless it's really a situation where what we have like in 2013 with Ireland, although the point system was different back then, you know, but you know, where it comes like it's a few points here and a few points there, but then combined it's still below, that kind of stuff. That is, I'm thinking, potentially the best outcome for Germany right now. Any questions about Germany in the chat at ESC United real quick so we can address them? I think the German song is at least an upgrade from the past 2 years, not counting 2020. So 2019 and 21. Let's talk about this, Roy. Do you think compared to last year's entry or even the sisters, is this an upgrade or is it just kind of like the same?
I definitely think compared to last year, you could say it's an upgrade. I personally really enjoyed Sisters, but they completely butchered that staging. Like they just decided, oh, we have a spinny platform, but let's not even take it to the stage and just
Sister!
do anything.
That's all I remember.
Yeah, I know. It's a bit weird, and I somehow just kind of enjoyed a little bit. But yeah, I definitely think that it has a bit more potential than those two, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me personally, and this is 100% personal taste, of course, I preferred the other two. I mean, I enjoyed Jendrik's song, even though the staging and the other became too amateurish. They should have done a whole lot better there. Sisters to me was, again, fine. You know, it was somewhere in the second half of my ranking probably, but not at the bottom. This one, it's grating to my ears, a lot of things. So I personally prefer the other two efforts. This is probably one of my least favorite German entries in quite some time, but that comes down to personal taste. And in terms of chances, I'm still worried about it, just for the fact that the other big direct qualifiers are delivering and Germany did not. So that is unfortunate. So yes, that is, we'll see with the lineup in the end. I know that they're dropping in the betting odds, but the betting odds have been wrong before in the past, so don't think about it.
Germany for the win.
Germany for the win. Munich 23.